All right, and welcome into another edition of the Detroit Lions News podcast. I'm your host, Joe Chap. Um, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Tonight was a game where I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a total disaster. Um, there's nothing else to say about what the game was really about. I thought it was at times an indication of where this team was in terms of the injuries that they had. Uh, Obviously, you picked the worst time to have your worst game, which is also a problem offensively. And then, look, we all knew the offense had problems. I mean, we all knew the defense had problems. Defense. We all knew the defense had problems. And we all knew that coming into this game today, in order to win playoff games, you were going to have to outscore teams. Period. End of story. I think everyone understood that. And I think anyone who had a realistic clue understood that when you came into this game today, you had a realistic option that you had to outscore teams. Period. End of story. There was no other way, no ifs, ands, or ors about it. You had to outscore teams. And I go listen to Woodward Sports. I go listen to 97 won the ticket. I go listen to I go listen to everybody. Everybody was saying this was a game that they would walk over. This is a game that they would absolutely destroy the Commanders. And deep down inside, like everyone knows where I stood a couple weeks ago. Couple weeks ago, I had this post. It was after the Bills game, and I said exactly this. I said Lions have lived on the edge, but if Lehman, Carlton, Davis are out indefinitely, which they were, the Super Bowl dream is dead. The Lions won't quit because of their culture, but to get to the Super Bowl win, you need to have luck every year because to win because of the battle attrition is so big, this is too much to overcome. As sad as it is, Dan Campbell knows it because he wants to squeeze every possession with a score. He won't admit it publicly, but talent wins, and the most of the Lions' talent was on IR. I told you that. But I go on 97 won the ticket. I go on Woodward Sports. Some of these podcasters, these content creators that are Lions content creators, they're so dishonest to you. They're so effing dishonest to you. They can't tell you, hey, guys, we're gonna have to win with offense. I told you straight from the source. I said we gotta win with offense. And if the offense suddenly says, hey, we're gonna take a shit one day, guess what? You're not winning that game because your defense is way too hurt to overcome. I mean, let's be honest. Like, did you think at one point in today's game that you say, "Damn, I wish we had Lee McNeil. Damn, I wish we had Aiden Hutchinson. Damn, I wish we had Carlton Davis." I think everyone along the lines would say that. That was the issue. We could look here. We could say about Jared Goff, right? Jared Goff had interceptions today, 2 interceptions. It really didn't matter because the end of the reality of the situation is this: they had to go out and play a perfect game to win. They had to go play a perfect game to win. The offense had to play a perfect game every game to win. The only game they didn't have to play a perfect game in was the Minnesota game, and you ran into Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold was even he was Sam Darnold. So look, if you went down the line and you saw the Chicago Bears score what they scored 24 on you or something. You saw the 49ers put up points on you. The Minnesota Vikings fell into a wayside. It came down to what exactly I told you guys was going to happen. And I think it's totally dishonest what some of the people in the media were telling you. I think it's totally dishonest what some of the people at 97 or Woodward Sports or any content creator that you listen to when they were saying, no, this is a Super Bowl winning team. If they don't win, it's a failure. It's just totally dishonest. It's totally dishonest. Like, there is no way in hell on planet Earth that you think for 1 second that this was a failure of a season because your expectations were what? Your expectations were what? You're telling me the expectation didn't change when you have 21 players on IR? The expectation definitely did change. And if you didn't think it changed, it's on you. Early before the season, I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl. I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl and play the Texans. That's who I predicted to win. Evidently they both lost today. But did I expect the Detroit Lions to have 22 players on IR at one time. No one did. And you could look at it from two different perspectives. Okay, you could look at it from a perspective of, well, the defense should have played better. Well, guess what, guys? When you get this isn't effing Madden, okay? When you get down to the nitty gritty and you get down to the guys like the bottom of the barrel of the chili pot, good luck. Good luck. I mean, the teams that you were going to have to go through to win a Super Bowl this year is death row. Like I know the Eagles aren't that great of a team. I know the Rams aren't that great of a team. I know the Commanders aren't that great of a team. But the reality of the situation is all your defensive talent was on injury reserve. There was no way that there was an expectation that you could win a Super Bowl. And if you had the expectation that you were going to win a Super Bowl, like I said, I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was real. I said a couple months ago, I didn't think it was real that the Detroit Lions were going to win a Super Bowl. And a lot of people attacked me. It is what it is. I don't care. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying at the end of the day, you just have to be real with yourself. And I feel like a lot of the media, they are totally dishonest with you, because they kept perceiving this narrative that this team was way too good to lose and this team was blah 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 blah. There is kinks in armor. We knew that there were kinks in armor, and if the Lions offense didn't come to play, like I've said over and over again, you were losing that game. There was just no other way. And we could sit here all day. We could talk about this Lions team and what they did right. And at some point in time, we'll go over, how great of a season was, because it was a good season for the most part. But today, it literally came down to two things. It came down to two things. You played a hot Commanders team who was feeling it themselves. They were feeling themselves. And then you come today in today's game, you lose your corner that was your top corner, Amik Robertson. You lose him. So you lose Amik, you lose Carlton, you lose Lee McNeil, Hutchinson, you lost Makai Wingo, you lost Derek Barnes, you lost Rodrigo. Like going down the line, like there was no you couldn't just sit here and go, oh, it's gonna be fine. It never was that way. And I felt like a lot of people in the media were totally being dishonest with the people. I was trying to be honest with you. But the reality of the situation, it came up and it spun itself in the worst perspective. When the Lions won that game against the Texans, that was a game that they should not have won by any stretch of the imagination. And they win that game, and a lot of people think that you can win your games playing the way that they did. And those were the two worst games of the season. You went 1-1. Unfortunately, the one that you lost was in the most important part of the season. So that sucks. And that's the way it goes. And this is the way playoff football is. Like, you don't come with your A game. You play your B- game. You play your C+ game, and the other team plays their A+ game, or even their A- game. It's over. And that's exactly what we saw tonight with the Detroit Lions. Because, look, there's not much to really be happy about with this game. I don't think there's anybody that's sitting here saying this is something to be proud of or whatever the case may be. It just isn't that way. But I want to know what you think. Comment below. Do what you want to do. We'll talk about it. We got a lot of things to talk about going forward. This will be a short. I'm not going 2 hours like I usually do. It's just not going to happen. I'm not feeling it today. Obviously, with the way that this team lost, I'm not feeling it. So let's get to the comments. Washington chested the Lions. Should have won. I'm ticked off about this game. Justin May, the rapper. Yeah, you know what? It is a sad game by every stretch of the imagination. And they won the game, so it don't really matter. This is a tough name. Lisa Soros, Leah Ortega. Oh, man, I'm good at this. The Detroit Lions will return, and I agree with you 100%. They will return. They're going to get healthy. It's going to be great. Justin says, defense is bound to fall off eventually with all the injuries. This falls on Goff. See, here's what I'll say about this, Justin, okay? You can expect you can expect the offense to keep going. Like I said, the offense, they had such a limited window into what they could do. Like if they're not perfect, you lose the game. Period. And when you don't have a defense that you could really trust, and you know your defense isn't going to go out there and get you stops, you press. And for the first time since the Texans game, I felt like they pressed, and that sucks. Is it on Goff entirely? No. I mean, yes, but is it entirely on him? No. I felt like the play calling today was just janky. I felt like this team really didn't play good at all on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you want to talk about someone who had a bad game? Look at Graham Glasgow. I'll point it out tomorrow. I'll watch tape tomorrow, but he did not have a good game at all, and it was ridiculous to watch. Um, this is a team that in the Commanders who wasn't good at stopping the run, and obviously you would think that your offensive coordinator, who everyone pegs as a genius, would have ran the ball down their throats. Instead, he's going with JMO passing the ball. Like, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? When did JMO pass at any point in the year? When did JMO pass at any point in the year? Oh, wait. I'll listen. He didn't. He was never a passer. Matter of fact, Amon-Ra St. Brown was the guy who passed the ball to Goff. JMO never passed the ball. So to expect him to pass a ball at a playoff game, get the hell out of here, Ben Johnson. Get the hell out of here. Just go to Vegas. Go on. Here's what I want you to do. Go to Tom Brady's hotel room. You're gonna go back with him to the Vegas Raiders, and you could go right there while you're there. Eric says, as soon as Davis got hurt, the wind was taken out of their sails. It's ironic because D was so bad, it was the offense that lost us the game. Eric, I want to say it again. The defense was bad. We all knew that. But when your defense is bad and your offense has to score to outscore teams to win, you're gonna be pressing. I remember there's teams before, go back to the 2011 Lions, right? That offense was pretty good, but the defense is terrible. And they could never get as far as they never got as far as they could. Stafford and them went to New Orleans and they got whooped. In the end of the day, the defense, you win with defense in the playoffs. And if your offense is not confident that you can get stops, your offense is not confident that you can make plays, they're going to press a little bit, and they're going to be aggressive. And the way it works sometimes is when you're aggressive and you're trying to force it down people's throats, it ends up as a turnover. It ends up as you falling behind. It ends up as what we all seen tonight. They got absolutely walloped. And it's not Jared Goff's fault by any stretch of imagination. They could not outrun their mistakes. On offense, on defense, they could not outrun their mistakes. And they could not make the Commanders pay for their mistakes. Now the Commanders made a few mistakes and they just couldn't make them pay for it. So I don't want to hear people saying that it was all on Goff. It's not all on Goff. It's a microcosm of what this team was at the end of the year. And a lot of people were. I felt nervous coming into this game for two reasons, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, they did the pregame today. I said it was going to be a close game, coming up to this point. But when I was doing the podcast with the Commanders guys and Tay and Todd, they're great guys. It just felt like there was things that Detroit had to do in order to win the game. You couldn't let Jaden Daniels get out there and run the ball. He did. You couldn't let the Brian Robinson get free and do what he did, and he did. Terry McLaurin went AWOL, and you made the mistakes, and I felt like going back as soon as I told people that the point spread for Detroit in the Commanders, where the Commanders are only scoring 25 on the road. They scored what? They scored 45 or something. I don't know. It just seems too ridiculous. But Detroit scored 35. Theirs was 35.7, and they could not overcome that. Like they just couldn't. So it is what it is. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this is all on the offense or defense. I think this is a microcosm of where you were at, and it sucks, but it is what it is. And yeah, it's what it is. Um, coming into this game, I was hell bent on what it was. Obviously, they did not cover the spread. And Jaden Daniels once again proved that he's a pretty good player on the road. Uh, did it again. I thought the Lions could have forced him into some, obvious turnovers because of where he threw. His passing locations, he liked to throw short center, intermediate center, behind the line, skirmish center, and he did a damn good job of it today too. I wonder where his passings were, but he just it's not just any good, but it is what it is. All right, let's get to more comments because I know there's more comments coming in here. How many possessions can you look at the point swing? Minus 14. How many can you look at? How many? Yeah, I mean, look, anytime you have as many turnovers as they had today, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe by any stretch of the imagination. Um, the fumble, big swing, pick six, big swing. The JMO pick, the 12 men on D, I think those are totally coach related. So look, I thought Ben Johnson. I mean, where was he? What was the JMO pass? 12 men on D. How does that happen? It just can't happen. It's a total lie. It's a total joke. But every one of those, yes. And you could not run your mistakes. Usually the season has been where the Detroit Lions have outran their mistakes. Evidently, they have outran their mistakes. And when they got to a spot where they could not come back, that's what happened. That's just it just you can't win games like that. And there's times where they whistled by the graveyard, they got by. It is what it is. But in the end, it just didn't work out. Todd says exactly what it is. You can't win a game with 5 turnovers. He's exactly right. You're not winning games with 5 turnovers, and more so, you're not winning a game giving up 45 points. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news because this is horrible news. But you're not winning games giving up 45 points. Okay, you're just not. You're not giving up. You're not giving up 5 turnovers is horrible. Giving up 45 points and then the 5 turnovers, death nail. And they still got 31 points. The Lions still got 31 points on one of their worst offensive days. I mean, that tells you how good this team is. Unfortunately, you can't overcome them. You just can't. I mean, I think the two biggest ones, in my opinion, what Eric said here, Eric said the 12 man on D, the JMO pick, those are two of the biggest ones, in my opinion. I think the pick six was huge too. Um, because of what it meant, but I thought them getting back with JMO getting that touchdown, I thought that was crucial, but in the end, it just didn't work out the way it was supposed to work out, and that's how it goes. Um, Edmund Atkinson says he's crushed, and I think he's feeling the way a lot of people are right now, crushed. Scott Harrison says, "Wow." Okay. Edmund Atkinson says, "Hey, at least you're talking playoffs." Yeah, I'm not running from this. I think it's unfortunate that people wanted to talk all they wanted to talk. I felt like a lot of people over the course of the week, they were feeling way too comfortable. Way too comfortable. I feel like it's kind of like what Lions fans or the people in the media, I felt like they were being totally dishonest with you. I mean, I honestly think they were being dishonest. Like the reality of the situation is this. You came into today's game, there's still 19, 18 players on IR from this team. Even Alex Anzalone, after the game said that he was still playing with a broken arm. So in the end, like you had a lot of guys on injury, and you had to outscore teams to win. You couldn't outscore the Commanders today. And it goes back to what he said about Jaden Daniels. This is what Coach said about Jaden Daniels before the game.
Daniels obviously has been a big part of their turnaround. Can you just talk about the challenge he presents at quarterback?
He is dangerous. He's dangerous. He poses a major threat. He does not play the position like a rookie quarterback. He's composed. He understands how to progress. He sees the field well. He can buy time with his legs.
All right, enough of that. I really don't have time to listen to the whole clip, but the reality of the situation is this. You didn't do what you were supposed to against Jane Daniels. You didn't do what you were expected to do against the Commanders, which was win the game. You were expected. I expected them to beat the Commanders. I didn't expect them to win the Super Bowl. I will go back on it, like I said before. I said this. I said this painfully clear. This was in December. I put this on the thing. Like, I didn't think the Lions were going to win a Super Bowl like this. I just didn't. And I felt like a lot of people were being dishonest with you, and I feel like they're building your emotions up to get totally squashed. And when the Lions got the home field advantage, I still felt like, look, that was a good step in the right direction. But in the end, it was nervous energy coming into this game, and it just did not work. It did not come down to what you expected it to come down to, and it didn't matter what the Commanders did or what you did. You just couldn't overcome the turnovers. Sometimes you can overcome the turnovers in these playoff games, but the reality of the situation was you couldn't overcome these turnovers in this game, and it came back to haunt you. All right, let's get to some more comments. Susan says, honestly, since the Buffalo game, I was worried about how we would survive with the patchwork with defense. Then the minutes of the game looked like their old selves, and I thought, okay, our defense is back. If they came out swarming sticky like that, we got this. Then the first drive from the 40 when we end up turning it over. Susan, that's a great comment right there. Susan hit the nail on the head. I think we all watched the Minnesota game. I think we all thought that at a point in time that this Detroit Lions team would, kind of avoid the injury bug. They would avoid the disappointment. And I felt like we got a false sense of security. A lot of people. And I felt like, if there was if there was just one person that could have told you this could potentially be the case. I think there's a lot of people out there, and I talk to a lot of people out there, especially you guys that are in the comment section. A lot of you guys were worried about, the injuries ultimately playing an effect on the season. It only takes one game for your offense not to be humming, for your offense to turn over the ball like today. And you're expecting like a championship level defense to get a couple stops. Like that's just the reality. And the Lions, they could not make stops because the defense was so beaten, bruised, and battered. I mean, we had Alex Anzalone. He said after the game today, on 97 on the ticket, he was still playing with a broken arm. So in the end, like we could sit here and we could talk about this Detroit Lions team, and we could say it's on the offense. But like, at what point in time do you sit here and go, yes, the offense played bad, but at what point did you think that the offense was going to keep it going? They were due for a bad game. I mean, they had to get bad game against Buffalo. I guess you could say that a bad game against Buffalo, but they still scored like 42 points. But the defense could never stop the Buffalo. They could never stop the Buffalo Bills. So it really didn't matter in that sense of the imagination. They couldn't stop the Bills. And then you play the Bears and you play the Packers, and I felt like the Packers were always frauds anyways. And then you play the Minnesota Vikings, and Sam Darnold comes here and lays an egg like Sam Darnold usually does. But I felt like that 49er game right there, at second game the second to the last game of the year of the regular season. I thought that was a big harbinger of things to come because the 49ers have nothing to play for. They come in on Monday Night Football, and obviously they're going to play. It's their last home game, and they put up points on you like no one's business. And at that point in time, I became worried. And obviously, when you win against the Vikings, like Susan says, it's brilliantly said by her. Then the Minnesota game, they look like their old selves, and I thought, okay, our defense is back. If we come out swarming, sticky like that, we got this. And unfortunately, coming out against the Commanders, a team that's a little bit hot, they're feeling themselves. You couldn't overcome the bad defense. You just couldn't. For scoring, having 45 points scored against you is a death nail in the playoffs. I mean, it just is. So it is what it is. Matthew McCall says, all respect to Lions fans. Hell to it's the Redskins, but Commanders, and they really need to change it. It needs to be the Redskins. Timothy Marcy or whatever. Goff sucks. Okay. All right, whatever, dude. Joseph Walls. LMAO. Goodbye, Lions. All right, bro. Go take another selfie in the mirror, bro. Just some of these people, man. They're so stupid. Such a disappointing ending to an amazing season. We'll rise again. They'll hear the roar even louder next year. And I think Darlene is saying a good thing, okay? Let me put it in this perspective, okay? Everyone is going to sit here. They're going to feel in themselves. I saw Dan Campbell getting all emotional in the press conference, and he has every right to be emotional. I think every one of the fans has a right to be emotional. And honestly, if you take a step back, I got a pizza afterwards, Domino's, so that was pretty good. But I looked at it like this, okay? And this is just the reality. The Lions are going to get Aiden Hutchinson back next year. They're going to get Lee McNeil back next year. Zadarius Smith is going to be the opposite end of the Detroit Lions. You're going to have DJ Reader potentially. You got to make some signings like Carlton Davis. You're going to have to re-sign him and everything. But this team is not going anywhere. And the schedule is going to get tougher next year, but I feel like they will use this as motivation to get better going into the season. And look, when you lose a pass rusher like Hutchinson, there is no coming back from that. There's no coming back. There is absolutely no coming back. One of the best pass rushers on our team, and he still is the best pass rusher on your team, and he missed all those games. So to get Hutch back is something that the Detroit Lions need. To get Aleem McNeil back is something the Detroit Lions need. To get a healthy Anzalone back, a healthy Derek Barnes back, a healthy Rodrigo back, those are things the Detroit Lions need. Their issue was not tonight that the offense laid an egg. The issue overall, like I said, going back to the Buffalo game, was they were so injured on defense. There was no way you were outscaping this. There was no way. It would have took a effing miracle for you to get by the Commanders, get by the Eagles or the Rams, and then go beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl or the Bills or the Ravens. Like, it's not reality. When you lose your best pass rusher in Hutchinson, you lose your second best pass rusher in Aleem McNeil for the year. You lose a guy like Mekhi Wingo, who was having a great year as a rookie. It never really comes back. You're never going to come back from that. And I felt like, look, I thought the Lions played good after those games. The Buffalo game, I thought that was the game where they kind of fell apart, and they played good against Green Bay. They played good against the Chicago Bears, and then they played good against the 49ers for the most part. The offense had a good game. But in the end, like, you see, if you're just realistic with your expectations of this team, like, I thought it was so irresponsible for guys like 97 won the ticket, saying this is a Super Bowl or bust. Like, what are you talking about? What are we talking about? What and what spectrum was a Super Bowl or bust? Once you lost Hutchinson, and then you lost Lee McNeil and Carlton Davis, the Super Bowl expectation, in my opinion, went out the window. It just went out the window. So look, Darlene's right. It was a disappointing ending to an amazing season, and they'll be back again. And the defense will be back again. Hutch will be back again. McNeil will be back again. There was no effing way. It would have took a miracle from God for the Detroit Lions to win a Super Bowl this year. That was my opinion. A lot of people disagreed with me. That's fine. After the Buffalo game, that was my opinion. I thought that there was no way the Lions are winning a Super Bowl, and I even posted it on Facebook, and I even have it right here. I didn't think they were coming. I didn't think they were coming to win the Super Bowl. So look, it comes down to two things. You either have the expectation, which was unrealistic at the time, that they're still going to carry out the Super Bowl with one of their best pass rushers missing. That's on you, okay? But it was more dishonesty from the media, in my opinion, and that's kind of where I'm going to go from there. But there's nothing that makes me more pissed off about this game than just the whole JMO thing and the him passing. It just that's totally ridiculous. So it is what it is. But the Lions defense did have some issues coming in this game, and this is what really rude home. Rushing inside the tackles, Detroit ranked number 22nd. The defense ranked number 26 in rushing shotgun. Quarterback rushing, they ranked 16th. They were one of the worst teams against the quarterback run. And then rushing versus the light box, they were number 29 in the league. So there was points of this team there were no great emphasis of we're gonna win a Super Bowl. This wasn't gonna happen. All right, let's get to some comments because we'll get to some comments. All right, we get to this. You Lions fans were so effing cocky. Y'all got humbled quick, and you got cocky at the buffet. So there you go. It works out great. I never got cocky. Not once did I get cocky. I thought they would win. I thought they were a good team, but I thought it would take some luck to get to a Super Bowl. And you're going down the wrong path, bro. So go to a pizza buffet or something that looks like where you go. You don't go to no gym or nothing. So go do your thing. We should have learned lesson from with Buffalo game. Totally agree, Timothy. That's exactly where I learned the lesson. That's exactly where I stood after the Buffalo game. I just didn't believe they had the horses on defense to keep up with the Joneses, if you would say. I thought they played the Packers well, but I thought people that really pushed people into a point where they were excited about what was to come. Cool. They played Chicago. I thought the defense looked pretty bad at times, but they beat Chicago because Chicago is ass. And then they played the 49ers. They gave a lot of points. They still won the game, but that didn't leave me with a good sign. And I think all of us, in myself included, I thought, Anzalone came back for the Minnesota game. I thought we all got like baited into the Lions kind of playing Minnesota so tough that they would win this game, and they didn't. Ron Holloway says they adjusted and we didn't. Our coordinators weren't focused. I totally agree with you, 100%. And I'm a Aaron Glenn guy. I think Aaron Glenn is a hell of a coordinator. I think he did a great job all season long getting this defense to be just satisfactory, because there was no way with the talent that they were missing that they were going to be pretty good, and he did a good job. Unfortunately, the coordinator on the other side of the ball, who gets all the praise, Ben Johnson is the guy who gets all the praise. I don't understand why. I've never understood the Ben Johnson hype. I've been very frank on this podcast about the Ben Johnson hype. I think it's all hype. I know the players like him. That's cool. I just know that last year there was times where the offense would go into a tailspin. I thought this year there were some cute calls that he didn't feel the game out, and he tried to be too cute. Fine. But in the end, like, I didn't think Ben Johnson really was like, if you get the keys to a Ferrari, right? If you get the keys to a Ferrari, you should be able to drive it. But you know how good you are at racing when you could race the Ferrari. Sometimes you can run the Ferrari at full peak and do whatever the case may be and go top speed and all that jazz. But sometimes you can't race the Ferrari. And I felt like Ben Johnson is that guy. He just can't race the Ferrari. He could get up to top speed, but he can't do the simple things to race the Ferrari. And I thought him with this offense, like I think you can get anyone in this offense and they would be good at what they're doing. Because what is wrong with the offense? You got two good running backs, you got a good offensive line, you got a great tight end, you got a great wide receiver, you got a great wide receiver who is speedy, you got a sizable wide receiver in Tim Patrick. Again, your offensive line's good. Your quarterback is smart. He was an MVP candidate this year. There's no reason that you should be, being cute with it when you're in the playoffs. And I thought that JMO pass was a version of him being cute with the play call, and it bit him in the ass. And that's the same thing that we've seen from Ben Johnson over and over and over again. At times, I thought we saw it, a couple times this year. We saw it a couple times last year, especially in the third quarter last year. But tonight was not a good night for Ben Johnson, and it was not a good night for Aaron Glenn. But at one point, did I think that Aaron Glenn was going to keep that thing rolling? I didn't. That's a hell of a coaching job what Aaron Glenn was able to do, because you could scheme anything you want to do, but you still need talent to win this game. And I felt like at the end of this, they were running out of talent. So that's just the way it goes. Matt Henry says, never played for a Lombardi. 4 wins in playoff history. 2 was last year. The most miserable franchise in history. You got a cat skit as a picture, so just shut the fuck up. Susan says, part of learning how to win is dealing with expectations. Last year, we were happy to be your team. We found ourselves in 30 minutes away from Super Bowl. 22 players on injured reserve, had us playing basically a third string defense against other teams' best. It was a fun ride while it lasted. We'll regroup next year. Susan, you're an amazing person. I think you're very, very smart. You were very, very smart. Now, there's a lot of people in the comments that are very, very dumb, including Matt and Joseph Wells or whatever the hell his name is. Very dumb people. But there's people that are smart, like Susan and Darlene. I'm kind of sensing tonight. The women are being a lot smarter than the men. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's a lot of smart women around this world, so it's good to see that. But I'll just say it like this. Everybody remembers when the Red Wings got beat by the San Jose Sharks. I think everybody remembers that. They were beat by the San Jose Sharks. They weren't supposed to be beat by the San Jose Sharks. That was not a playoff series they were expected to lose. They lost that game. They lost against New Jersey in the finals. Lost against the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals. Okay, at that point, they went on to win a Stanley Cup. Is it the end? No. Sometimes you have to go through trials and tribulations to get to where you're at. And sometimes everything needs to break free. And it's like I said earlier, you need the luck. You need to stay healthy. You need the bounces to go your way. That's the way this playoff thing works. You need every bounce to go your way. Unfortunately for the Lions, the injuries didn't help them. The bounces did not go their way tonight, and they lost. And it's the same thing happened with the Pistons. The Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, they fell apart. They lost against the Celtics. They had to go back and win. They go back and win against Celtics. They lose to the Lakers. They had to go back and beat the Lakers. This is how sports works. Like, I don't understand people who are older than me that have been through the trials and tribulations of sports, and they go, "What is happening? What?" Put 2 and 2 together. Susan and Darlene, I feel like they're the smartest people that are in the comment section right now, and I'm very, very excited by that, because a lot of you are just being totally ridiculous. All right. That's why I say you got to go back, and tomorrow you're going to look at this game, and you're going to look at this season. You're going to say, it was a good season. Time to regroup. Time to get healthy. Let's go, and let's make a run next year, because they could definitely do it next year. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was Super Bowl or bust like some people. I think that was the misleading logic of all. Just stupid logic. It's dumb. Oh, Joseph Wells is back in here. LMAO. I love it so much. Yeah, enjoy Cancun. You enjoy that buffet, brother. You'll be all right. Goff earned an extension. Bring back Wayne Fonts. Goff had an MVP type season. He had an MVP type season, and you get to the playoffs, and when you have to press to win the games, and you have to outscore teams, this is what happens. So I know that you're not really smart to understand that, and that's fine. But just go on your merry way and shut the hell up. Joseph Wells, one of the Lions radio hosts, was already buying tickets for the NFC Championship game. Y'all were so cocky and you lost. Don't make excuses. That was never me. I never made excuses. I'm not making excuses today. I have been saying this since the Buffalo Bills game. It's put in written word. You can go to my page, Joe Chap on Facebook, and you can see it right there. I put it for the world to see back after the Buffalo game. So you can shut the hell up, because I'm the one who is the most honest with the people. I was the one that was saying, look, you can only go so far with the defense playing the way it was. That's just the reality. And I know there was a guy on Nice that won the ticket saying that he was they were looking for championship games, or who do you want to play in the Super Bowl? I know who that is. And that was totally dishonest. I thought it was a joke. Honestly, I think it's kind of embarrassing for our radio station in Detroit, our flagship radio station in Detroit, to be so arrogant and cocky. I mean, that's something that's Paul Allen's job in Minnesota, to be cocky and arrogant and look like a total fool at the end. That's Paul Allen's job. For us in Detroit, let's be honest. And I thought one of the most honest people was Rico Beard, Mike Valeni. Imagine that. I thought, a lot of the guys, a lot of content creators, a lot of the hosts at Woodward, or whatever the case may be, I thought they were totally dishonest. They were totally dishonest. This was not a team that was going to win a Super Bowl the way it was put out to be. And I picked them to win a Super Bowl at the beginning of the year after the Buffalo game, when we saw all the injuries and Ali McNeil go down, Carlton Davis go down. That was the end, in my opinion. And it sucked that I'm right, because I was hoping to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong so effing bad. I wanted to be wrong so effing bad, and I'm not. So it is what it is. Roy says, I don't even know what to say. And Roy, you don't have to say nothing. It's just, it's horrible to lose a game like this. But unfortunately, like, this is what happens, man. Yeah. We got a bunch of comments from Joseph Walls and Matt Henry, and I'm not going to give them any more pub, because they're kind of stupid people. So there's no sense in giving them any run on this program anymore. Rick Kelly says mostly on Goff. Fumble was going in for a 14-3 lead, downhill from there. Well, look, you could blame Goff all you want, and I understand why people are blaming Goff. Okay, I understand why people are blaming Goff, but at the end of the day, they were pressing to score points. So, a play where you should probably step up in the pocket. Okay. Unfortunately, Glasgow whiffed on the block. I thought Glasgow was horrible tonight. He whiffed on the block, and Goff got hit, and he fumbled. And this is what happens when your offense has to outscore teams. In a regular team, a regular year, Patrick Mahomes, he can fumble the ball, and that defense will pick him up. The Ravens, back in the day, one of Lamar Jackson or Joe Flacco would fumble, the defense could pick him up. But when your defense can't pick you up and you're forced to score every single time down the field, this is where you're going to get into issues. And I thought this is where the issues ran to a stop, and the Lions really had no way that they were going to come back from this. And that was my opinion. I didn't think I didn't think it was because of the turnovers. I thought they were just trying to press, especially late in that game. The first The first interception, the first fumble I thought was okay. That was a Glasgow. That was an offensive line issue. Goff could have, just went down for a sack. The interception, I thought J-Mo could have attacked the ball better. That's just the way it is. But it has to be a better throw by Goff. But J-Mo's got to go attack the ball there. That's just the way it goes. The pick six was terrible. There's no way to put it. And then the J-Mo pass was just ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. The J-Mo pass was so stupid. It doesn't even resonate with me, to be honest. So it is what it is. Yeah, Roy, there's a lot of NFC North trolls in this comment section, so it's all right. I like to All right, Fatso. Let me just say this for you one more time. This is Joseph Walls again, or Wells, or whatever the fuck his name is. Let me just say it to you, you fat son of a bitch. I told you on this page, do not lump me in with other people. So I don't want to hear from you. Now go to a buffet and take a selfie in the bathroom, you stupid piece of ass. Now I'm not responding to your comments anymore. But this is just you're telling me that this would be the reason that they choke. I was the one that said this. Well, do we want to go back? Do we want to go back? What did I say? What did I say? Shut up, you fat piece of man. I can't stand some of these people, man. They're just so. I should be a lot more professional, but these people are just a joke. Some of these people are just annoying. We didn't have 12 men on the field. Where is it? Roy was saying I knew Washington wasn't a team we didn't want to see. Yeah, when you see a team that's buzzing, I mean, it's just not good. A lot of trolls in the comments. Matthew says we just had nothing to lose. Yeah, you know what? I agree with Matthew right there. They had nothing to lose, and they played like that. They did, and I think Jaden Daniels, if you want the truth, Jaden Daniels going into this playoff and doing what he's doing and how he's doing it, I feel like this moment's not too big for him. I felt like Jaden Daniels, he's either too dumb to realize how big of the moment is, which can happen with rookies, or he just is oblivious to the situation and he's an all-time great. I think it could be either or. I picked him to be rookie of the year, but the way he's playing in the playoffs is just it's absolutely phenomenal. And there's nothing you could say. The kid's electric. SC says Goff needs to go. Well, Goff isn't going anywhere, and Goff wasn't really the issue, so we're gonna leave that be. We got the troll again, the buffet troll. Mayak says, I think Goff was concussed, not badly, but he did look like he had it after himself. Yeah, that was a rough hit that he took from Frankie Louvu. But the reality is, situation he got checked back in, and so that he might have a concussion. Who knows? But he didn't seem himself today at all. So it is what it is. Just didn't prepare. Yep, I agree there. Lions ain't a championship level defense. Yeah, dude, I said that. They have 18 players on IR. Like, you gotta be kidding me. You're one dumb person. Villain, these players, these are millionaires playing for billionaires. You bring on defensive players. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. CJ Fox, how does it feel? Mom, I see your profile picture and you're a Commanders fan, and it doesn't feel good. But the Commanders had a great year. I respect the hell out of the Commanders. Like I talked with Tay and Todd of the Commanders podcast, and I thought they're very fabulous people. And they, Jane Daniels is Jane Daniels, and he's a great player. And look, I don't care how you want to slice it. He was really good, and he played a defense that was, trending towards not having a good end of the year, and he totally destroyed us. And it is what it is. And congratulations to you, CJ. You will see you in the next year. I think you guys are going to be around for a long time, so uh, it'll be fun to play the Commanders again. So for sure. Rebel Lee Suter says you aren't going to win a Super Bowl with a third string defense. We were doomed since Hutch got hurt. Totally agree with you, Rebel Lee. Totally agree. Lions have been playing playoff football for the past 10 weeks. Just winning the division was brutal. Yeah, I can't use that as an excuse, to be honest. I thought Commanders were playing playoff football too, so it is what it is. But the reality of the situation is they ran out of steam, and they cannot score their mistakes, and that's just what it is. We shut down the offense in the second half. Yeah, you did a great job. I thought once they couldn't get the ball going and all that jazz, it was what it was, right? They were trying to outscore the mistakes, and you can't do that in the NFL. It just doesn't happen like that. Oh, he's a Niners fan. Okay, that's cool. You're not smart, so that's all right. Y'all bald. I still respect y'all. Great. You know what, CJ? You're welcome anytime to comment on the podcast. Anytime you want. You're a great person. I like Commanders fans. I do like them. They're kind of respectful. I like them. I respect the hell out of them. I felt like all these assholes that were being mean to the Commanders fans, Lions fans, that were totally dismissing how good the Commanders were. I thought that those people are jokes, to be honest. You can't be honest with yourself and say the Commanders are not a good football team. And more so, the Commanders, they've earned it. They've earned it. Jaden Daniels is a hell of a player. Yeah, he's a dumbass. So many people in here. CJ says losing Hutch just hurts. Yeah, you know what? You can't lose a player like that and replace him. You just can't. You lose a player like that. Evidently your season's over. And I know Joseph Wells is in the comment section. You lost Christian McCaffrey. And your offense wasn't the same. This is just the reality of the situation. I've been saying it since it happened. I felt like when Hutch went down, I felt like if they could just get the pass rush out of Lee McNeil, they can get by. But when he went down, that was it. So it is what it is. Ron Holloway says injuries caught up. Can't beat B teams with that many. I agree. It's unfortunate. But you can't outrun the injuries that the Lions had. It doesn't work that way. I wish it worked that way. More often than not, it doesn't work that way. And more often than not, when you have the injuries that you have, you can't get by with the injuries that you have. You just can't. It doesn't work that way in any sport. You keep trying and all that jazz. It doesn't work. And I tried telling people this, but a lot of people just didn't want to listen. So it is what it is. Injuries caught up to them. I knew they would, unfortunately. And people are gonna sit there and go, "Oh, it's an excuse." No, it's the reality of the situation. And you need luck to have champions. You need luck to win championships. You just do. The luckiest teams are the ones that win Super Bowls, Stanley Cups, World Series, and NBA championships. You got to be lucky. You got to be lucky with the injuries. You got to be lucky with the way your team plays down the stretch and into the playoffs. You got to hope that you ride a momentum. You got to hope that you're hot. You don't hit a hot team like the Commanders are a hot team, and the Lions hit them, and Commanders beat them. I mean, I could go back and talk about games in playoff series that the Red Wings lost where they were the better team and they lost just on the merit. And this is one game and you're going home. This is not a 7-game series. So one game and you're done. And you could have the worst game ever, but you're done. That's the brutal reality of the NFL playoffs. Like you can't have a bad game in the playoffs. In every other sport, you could have a bad game and then come back for the next game and win that series. But in the NFL, it doesn't work that way. You have a bad game, it doesn't work. So, that's why that's why I respect the Chiefs so much. Like, I think the Chiefs what they've done is amazing. I mean, they get a lot of calls, but to still win championships like they have, it takes an awful amount of luck, man. It takes an awful lot amount of luck. It takes an awful amount of everything going right at the right time. Having the ball at the certain time, no one getting hurt that could really derail things. And that's the way this NFL works. It's a tough league to win in. And Dan Campbell said that over and over and over again. And unfortunately, this is the way it goes down. Steven Archer says, Packer fan here, y'all were so close. Yeah, we were. Stop with the excuses. Again, I'll say it again, because you might not be smart enough to understand, but there's no excuses. This is the reality of the situation. So I know you're kind of dense, but that's your prerogative. Y'all can't even. Just a bunch of people arguing in the comments. It's just so stupid. About the cook. Listen, yes, first starters does matter, but to have a long win streak without them shows more about a team and a brotherhood. Tonight, for real, didn't have their heads in the game. You have to have not one but two coaches interviewing teams. Yeah, I think that's something that this is going to be something that the NFL is going to have to really look into. The coordinators interviewing for jobs while they're still in the playoffs is kind of ridiculous. I think it sets a bad precedent, and you never know what could happen. But it's just I don't like them at all. Jeff Tyler says something was off tonight. Missing key players hurt us late in the season. Still on my team. Agree. They weren't the same team they were. They're missing key players. They hurt us late in the season, like you said, and I think they're going to be fine moving forward. I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo it because there's nothing to really be mad about. They had a good year, and unfortunately, you get to this point in the year, and it's one game and you go home. And if you have a bad year, if you have a bad game, you're going home. So that's the way it goes. Bro, I don't have 12 viewers. I have about 400. So go to a buffet. I have 84,000 people that follow my page. Okay, I don't need your self. So go where you need to go. Goff, he says Steven Archer says Goff needs to go. He's a Packer fan. Doesn't matter what dude. What lesson can you learn from Buffalo? We were down to Uber drivers on defense. You can only do so much with nothing. Well, here's where I learned something. Okay, when they lost Lee McNeil, when they lost Carlton Davis, I realized it was over. I felt like there was not enough things you could do to make the thing relevant and keep going, but it's just the reality of the situation. There's a lot of comments that are just total troll comments that I'm not going to really get to. It is what it is. All right. I'm not salty you roasted the Lions because there's nothing to roast. They lost. So just go on with what you're saying. So it is what it is. I could stutter if I want, so it is my podcast. Yeah, you know what? Uh, it's just whatever. These comments are from trolls, and I'm not gonna really entertain it, to be honest. There's nothing that you could say. I thought this would go a lot. I thought this would go a lot better, but unfortunately, these people are just idiots. So it is what it is. Um, it is what it is. Let's see what we got. Kelly says, I think our best chance if going to Super Bowl was last season, beat up 17 at San Francisco last year. The season on lines had too many injuries on defense side and offense line. Goss turnovers, questionable offensive plays cost us big time. Got a big empty backfield on third down, and one was terrible. The other play was having the number 2 receiver throwing a reverse pass that sealed the loss. Yeah, you know what? I don't really believe the whole last year was the best chance to win a Super Bowl. I don't buy that at all. I think that last year was a definite chance to win a Super Bowl, but in the end of the day, you couldn't win it. So it is what it is. Larry Youngblood says we had this loss hurts, but we had a hell of a season. We went 15-2 with the injuries, so it is what it is. Pretty good. Yeah, loss does hurt. It hurts doing the podcast. I'll tell you that. Especially with all these trolls, usually I have like after a post game, I have like tons of listeners, but not here. It's sad. It is sad. Larry says we diverted from our identity. What got us here? Why would we not run it on 3rd and 1? This is where I kind of think. I know I'm in the minority, Larry. I know I'm in the minority. Um, I don't think Ben Johnson's all that. I think he overcomplicates himself sometimes. I think he overthinks sometimes, and unfortunately for my sake, um, I don't think he's the guy that you could like sit here and say he's head coach material. Would I be comfortable with him being my head coach? No, I would not be comfortable with him being my head coach. Lamar says, "Here's the thing. Yeah, Goff messed up, but defense didn't show up today. Like they didn't when Goff had 5 turnovers against Texas, the versus Texans. Yeah, Goff didn't show up tonight. Unfortunately, I'll tell you what. In the playoffs, you are going to have games where you just don't play good. And if your defense can help you out, if your offense can help you out, you'll be fine. Unfortunately for the Detroit Lions, this whole year since the Buffalo game, their offense has been trying to outrun the injuries. And tonight it caught up with them. It just did. And I tried telling people that this was going to happen. I didn't want it to happen. I sat here and I said, look, maybe we can hope for this thing to keep rolling and that you would get the home field advantage and you'd play the Commanders, you play your best game, then you go play the Eagles or the Rams and you win against them. And unfortunately it never really materialized. And unfortunately for everyone that's a Lions fan, you're going home with a loss. And it just never worked out. Steven says, "Hi, I'm annoying. It's all right. You're good. You're good. Um, you're good. Packer fans are cool, pretty much. It's the Bears fans and the Viking fans I just can't stand. Or this guy in the chat. Kelly says, Jane Daniels and healthy Commanders defense are dangerous in playoffs. However, the Eagles are now my pick to win the NFC. Yeah, I don't see how the Eagles lose tomorrow. And I think they're going to the Super Bowl for sure. Unfortunately, I thought we would have a good shot against the Eagles. But the way that we played tonight, we couldn't beat anybody left in the game, so it didn't really matter. SC says, I hear you, Joe, but 3 interceptions and a fumble is not a championship quarterback. People praise him for a Super Bowl with the Rams. He didn't even get a touchdown that game. He's not that clutch. Well, if you go back in that game, and I hate going back on this game because it is what it is. That was the best defensive game of all time. I mean, neither team scored neither quarterback, Tom Brady or Jared Goff, had a passing touchdown. Either team. And so it was one of the best defensive Super Bowls of all time. I think Wes Phillips was the defensive coordinator for the Rams, and I think obviously Bill Belichick was calling the defense. And you just had two of the best defensive coordinators coaching the best defensive game. And you know what won it? A James White rushing touchdown. That was the only difference in the game. Tom Brady had 0 touchdowns and Jared Goff had 0 touchdowns. And that's kind of like the way it goes, man. And that's kind of the way the NFL goes. Like if you can win the little battles, you're gonna win a game. So that's the way it goes. That's what you get for saying you're America's team. I mean, the statistics bear it out. Detroit had the highest views and everything like that, so it really doesn't matter. Watch out, this streamer got triggered at me. I never got triggered at you. I just think you're a joke. So it is what it is. Philip says, great season, Lions. We love you. You run a really good chat. There will always be trolls and interrogates on the web. You know, usually I don't have trolls, but today it's like a totally different matter. I don't know what people have. I don't understand. Like a team loses a game and you're not even like a fan of that team, and then you go and you initiate conversation. Like it's a Saturday night. I think you would have a lot more fun doing some nice stuff. You know, just it baffles me, to be honest. You guys don't respect the Green Bay Packers. You guys won't win the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Well, I might be the only Lions fan that respects the Green Bay Packers and the history of the Green Bay Packers. I'll tell you why. I think Aaron Rodgers was a hell of a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre was amazing, and the Green Bay Packers are a consistent franchise. And you know, for me, I live in Detroit. I know what consistent franchise of winning titles and winning championships looks like with the Detroit Red Wings. You know, we've seen it 26 straight years where they went to the playoffs and they had a chance to win Stanley Cup 20 of those years. So I know what good consistent winners look like, and I respect good consistent winners. And unfortunately, the Lions, you know, they haven't been good, but they're turning a corner, and that's all you could say. I mean, everyone that knows anything about the NFL respects the Green Bay Packers. I think the hate comes from people that just like to brag and everything like that. But ultimately, if you ask an honest person, they'll tell you the Packers, they're a damn good team, and that's why I think, you know, Steven saying you don't respect them. I respect the Packers, so that doesn't really matter. Kelly says this is a great podcast. Keep it up. I appreciate Kelly. Thank you for listening. So Joey Walls, he says injuries suck, but you got to play with who's there. And yeah, that only goes so far. It only goes so far. Like you can only replace certain people. It only goes so far. It really does. You can't replace great players. You just can't. You get to a certain point, and the injuries start to stack up. Like I'll give you this. Okay, this was the play. This was people on IR. Hold up. Let me move this right here. There is not a playoff team over 12. Oh, man, I take that back. The Chargers. But that's the only playoff team. Detroit had 10 more at that point in the year. Like, that just tells you exactly what you have to deal with. And how much is enough? You know, how much is truly enough for the injuries to stack up and to become a harbinger for things to come? This is your answer. This is your answer, especially when they're on one side of the ball. If they're split between the offense and the defense, I can agree with you. Ultimately, like if they're on one side of the ball, like how much can you really stack together? Like we had Jamal Adams come off the street, Quan Alexander. We had guys like Miles Adams and Jonah Williams and guys just coming off the street and just playing meaningful snaps for the Detroit Lions. That can't happen, and especially to win 15 games like that really is interesting, to be honest. Um, Green Bay had more injury and never used that excuse. Okay, here's what it comes down to. You don't have to use that excuse. You could say injuries don't matter. I'm telling you what I just said. 22 players on injured reserve. Eventually, you're gonna get to the bottom of the barrel, and there's nowhere up from there. So it's not an excuse, it's reality. If you want someone to have some stupid spin on the game, then you go what you want. But I've said this I've said this since the Buffalo game. I didn't think this team was good enough to win a Super Bowl. I posted on Facebook. I've let people know, and unfortunately, I was right. At the end of the day, I question Goff as a future quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Y'all should look for mobile quarterback. No, I'll tell you why. This is not Goff. Goff had a great year, fantastic year. They had to outscore teams to win, and it came back to bite them. It is what it is. But this final score in the locker room next year, more motivation. And Vince, you seem like a motivational guy, and I love it. I think that's a good idea. We should definitely send it to him. Joe says, I don't care what happens. I just don't want KC winning another Super Bowl. Well, get ready. They're winning another Super Bowl. I hate to tell you, but unless the Ravens or Bills, I think the Super Bowl champion's coming out of the AFC. So whether it's the Bills or the Ravens, it's going to be the Chiefs or Ravens or Bills. I don't think the Eagles are winning it. I don't think the Commanders are winning it. I don't think the Rams are winning it. And I felt like the only team that had the mismatch of them was like if the Lions got to play the Chiefs, I think I'd pick the Lions. But if the Lions played the Ravens or the Bills, I think I'd pick the Bills and the Ravens. But that's just because of matchups, especially currently constituted. Lamar Boogie Mitchell says, listen, I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan. We had a terrible year, but we fought and beat Ohio State. It's not injured players. It's about fight till the end. Yeah, and guess what? That's a one-game thing. You beat them one game. Look what they're doing. They're in the national championships. I don't think they care about you beating them, to be honest. So, look, you could say it's not about injured players, but in the reality of the situation, it is about injured players because in the NFL, there's a thin margin to win the NFL, win a Super Bowl, thin as hell. And if you deviate off that little spectrum of where you're gonna win, you have no shot. No shot. Ryan says, I just hope the team can be as effective offensively next year as they were this year. The offensive dominance that this year was next level. Offense was absolutely phenomenal. But, would I take an offensive step back just a little bit to get a better defense? Absolutely. And I thought they had to outscore teams because I think obviously the Jacksonville and the Tennessee game kind of skew the points, but I thought that they had to outscore teams to win. And that can only get you so far, ultimately. We were robbed at Texans line by injuries and refs. Yeah, that was my Super Bowl. It's funny you say that because my Super Bowl was exactly that, Texans Lions, and I actually had in the division I had the Green Bay Packers and Lions playing each other, the 49ers and Falcons. I thought the Falcons would be better, and I thought this would be the NFC and AFC championship, and ultimately, it didn't get to that. So it is what it is, and you move on to the next year, right? Let's get to some more comments and then we'll wrap up the podcast and do whatever we can. This guy can't keep his cool and doesn't have any composure on stream. Well, I have composure. This is not a stream. This will be uploaded to a podcast and it'll be fine. Don't really care. It's like 1:30 in the morning, 12:30 in the morning for you, and you're still arguing, whatever. You're a troll, so that's what it comes down to. Stafford's still playing golf feint. Yeah, yeah, and Stafford's defense is way better. Uh, I wish the Lions were on the road. Both games we lost, they were at home. These guys played better, best on the road. Yeah, that's that's an interesting thing. They were undefeated on the road, so it is what it is. Um, Ryan says, yeah, I know. It's usually only a 2-year to 3-year window max, unless you just so happen to build a dynasty, hit a Hall of Fame QB. I think that's false. I'll tell you why. We see the 49ers having success at a high rate, and it hasn't been, you know, their window didn't fall. Same with the Eagles. I think if you're a good team, you're going to replace the players that you can't pay. You're going to replace the players that you have to let go because the contract might be too expensive. You hit picks on the draft, which you have a good general manager in Brett Holmes, and that's the way you're going to be building things. Unfortunately, like people get spooked into this whole thing where you go, okay, unless you get a rookie QB on a rookie contract, you think that like this is how it goes. But the reality of the situation is this: you got to hit on draft picks. You can't make stupid contract decisions, which Detroit Lions have not done. And moving forward, I think that the whole window thing, it's just a mirage. To be honest, I don't buy the window thing in the NFL unless you're a team that's like you're getting older. Then maybe so. But the team like the Lions, like they're still in their peak years. They still got talent, and they're gonna be fine moving forward. But where do they go from here? What does Brett Holmes think that he's gonna do? Um, it's something that you could look into for sure. Joe, if you are Brad in April. Who are we drafting in the first round? What free agent moves are we making? Alan, I haven't really looked far into this. Obviously, right after the season, I haven't looked far into this at all. But you know, I think you're going to look on the defensive side of the ball for sure. Defensive tackle, maybe defensive end for sure. One of those two, because it came to roost. Like you didn't have the players to compete at the end of the year, and that's when injuries happen. So, um, maybe you go out there and you get maybe you get a replacement for Glasgow because I think he's cooked. To be honest, maybe Zeitler retires. He didn't play today, and I think Mahogany will replace him if he doesn't re-sign with Detroit. But if Carlton Davis doesn't re-sign with Detroit, you're gonna go look for a cornerback. And look, that's the way you're gonna build your team. You're gonna build your team through the draft. So it'll be very interesting to dive in on the draft stuff. I didn't think I'd be diving in on any draft stuff right now, but it is what it is. Um. Joseph Wells says, I didn't get touch triggered. I just think you're a joke. Like I don't understand people who like you're wasting time on a stream that doesn't even involve you. So it is what it is. Professional football teams are always equal on the field, regardless of record. The worst record could beat the best record. That's the NFL right there. Exactly. It's impressive enough the Lions were able to get where they got despite literally having an entire starting defense on IR, and they did have an entire starting defense on IR. It's literally true. I think they were only missing a safety. I think that's the only position that they're truly missing. Imagine we trade Ben Johnson for Max Crosby and pair him with Hutch. Yeah, I don't think Ben Johnson has that much trade value. That'd be nice, but that'd be nice to get Max Crosby too. But it is what it is. Santiago Zah says, excuses. Every team has injuries. Detroit beat the Vikings and players, and they had to get their number one seed. You had a rookie come in Detroit and beat him at home. Take your loss and stop making excuses. I'm not making excuses. I've said this since the beginning. I've said this since the beginning. So it's not really excuse coming from my book. I've said this since the beginning. They beat the Vikings, yeah. Sam Darnold's a bum. You had a rookie come in, which I don't really equate him as a rookie. I think he's too talented to be a rookie, and he came in here and he beat the Detroit Lions' ass for sure, no doubt about it. But I'm not making excuses. I'm just spitting facts. That's all it comes down to. Felt like Glenn was just not there mentally. The defensive calls hurt us immensely. Scheme should have been ran different. Yeah, I think they should have ran more zone and blitz less because I think Jane Daniels was. God, I don't want to quote. Don't quote me here on this, but I think he was like 12 for 15 with a blitz. So that's never going to win you games, especially when. And I don't know if anybody ever thought that would be something that would be something to look at. But yeah, they just never got it going, and that's their fault. So it is what it is. Mike Adams says Washington played mistake-free in a hostile environment. Tipped my hat to him. 5 turnovers, golf seemed to be forced. Some throws should have run it on 3rd and 1. Barber Mike. Yes, you're right. Barber Mike is the man. Yeah, they played mistake-free football. The Lions had too many turnovers, too many injuries. They forced that pass exactly with the 3rd and 1. They forced that pass, a joke. Should have been a run. That pass call that JMO was passing the ball never really that was never a play call that I think is smart at all. And just a joke. Thanks for the support. We respect your podcast. I appreciate it, man. I try to put a good podcast on. We're gonna put a good podcast on going forward too. Like this is not the end. We'll keep going with it. I got a Red Wings podcast too, but I got JC Sports on the YouTube. We have Red Wings content, Pistons, Tigers, Michigan State, all that stuff. So hit that subscribe there. But yeah, this is a rough way to lose this game. I didn't think we'd be doing this, but ultimately, like I thought injuries were too much to overcome, and unfortunately, they were. I do believe the Lions have people in place to create a consistent winner. It's just hard to do. It's very hard to do. Any job in the NFL is hard to do. Um, I do believe like a consistent winner is so hard to do in the NFL. It's so hard to do in sports. Like look going down the line. Like if you go down the line and you look at the consistent winners in sports, what's the main thing? And it's players staying power. It's guys like Tim Duncan and Steve Eiserman and Nicholas Lidstrom and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, and that's how you become a consistent winner. So, who can be your guy like that? Tom Brady was a consistent winner. Patriots were Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs. Like it. Yes, you need those guys. Is Jared Goff that guy? I would hope so, but ultimately, like you're gonna have to put some players together and hopefully you can just get a little run out of it. And maybe you get a guy in the draft one of these days. And but Jared Goff's going to be here for a while, and he's a good quarterback. This team was on their way to winning a Super Bowl. There's no doubt about it. Injuries came back; they haunt them, and they could not score their mistakes tonight. That's just the way it goes. And they didn't have the defense that could stop the mistakes for sure. Lions had a good season. This is from Lions bad guy. Great guy. Lions had a good season. These things happen. I mean, look, did we really think we were winning Super Bowl? I'm a diehard Lions fan, but we did what we had with those injuries proud. Yeah, just like what I said, like you have the injuries that you had. Unfortunately, like you're not gonna really, you're not gonna outpace this, man. This is tough. This to win a Super Bowl with the amount of injuries the Lions had would take an effing miracle. And unfortunately, you got beat in the first round against a team that was lower ranked, but they came in hot, and you made the mistakes tonight. You put it on a silver platter for them, and they took it. Basically, what it comes down to. And fans that are salty and said, "I'm done. I'm not going to do that as much as Lions content. Anything negative said, say you're." I mean, same old Lions fan. Jump on next year. Yep, agree with you 100%. Some say it has to do. I know what. Some say it had some political influence. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I've heard all week that blitzing wouldn't work against Daniels. Rush but contain him would be the best way to handle him. And unfortunately, you're right. Blitzing didn't work against Daniels because he was 11 for 15 tonight on the blitz. I think it was more than that. I'll have to check the stats after the game, but it was not the way to do it, man. Not the way to do it. And yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me just give me my last hoorah, and then I'll head out for the night because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm up way too late, anyways. But this did not go the way anybody expected this to go. I don't think any Detroit Lions fan expected this to happen like this. I don't think any of us expected them to lose to the Commanders like they did tonight, especially with the self-inflicted mistakes that they had against the Commanders. And I really don't think that any of us really came into this game thinking that, like, okay, it was going to be a blowout. Now I know there's a lot of people from 97.1 or Woodward Sports or wherever the hell you get your wherever you listen to your sports on a daily basis. And there was never one part of me that said this was going to be a blowout. And I just knew that, if we gave Jaden Daniels any amount of chances to win this game, he was going to take it and run with it. And, I talked with the Commanders guys, Tay and Todd. They run a great podcast over there in Washington, but it just felt like when they were talking about Jaden Daniels, like it just felt like talking to them, like something was different with that Commanders team, and I felt like the Lions had to play their best game. And I got to be honest with you tonight. Tonight when I was watching the game, I was nervous. I was nervous coming in this game, and nothing ever worked for this team tonight, and it sucks. But you know what it is? It's the NFL. The NFL is just is a brutal league, man. And if you don't come to play every game and you have a bad night, it's over. So the Lions are a direct result of it. I'll have more thoughts about this going forward on the podcast and everything like that. But just a brutal way to end. A brutal way to end. So it'll be uh it'll be a rough off season for sure. And we'll see what happens moving forward. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll have more content coming up on the podcast, but I need a drink for sure, like a water or Pepsi. Which I got a Pepsi right here. But anyways, we'll talk about it on the next podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching all season long. It was a treat to be with you guys. I think we crossed 50,000. I think we crossed 50,000 listeners from the last month. So that was pretty awesome. So I think we hit like 300,000 listeners for the whole year, which is phenomenal. So thank you for listening to me. Following this page, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. We talk more Detroit Lions football here on Detroit Lions News Podcast, and we will see you in the season recap podcast, which is coming a little bit earlier than I thought, but it is what it is. So have a good one. Have a good night, and have, go Lions.